Hello, everybody. This is Bart Sharp, and you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, broadcasting out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. We're also on cable television, Roku, Facebook, YouTube, X, Spreaker, and other internet platforms. And today we're really exploring masculine and feminine, which as we look at this times of today, we are, of course, leaving the Piscean age and going into the Aquarian age. And, a book that just really struck me. Lord, I can't remember the title. I should have grabbed it. But the concept was the Piscean age was man made law constructed by men, and the Aquarian age is nature made law. Everybody really says, well, this is, feminine consciousness and awareness. And it has a lot of truth to that, because I think the feminine will guide us into having a greater relationship with Mother Nature, which is more of a feminine side of the infinite consciousness of what the earth is, what Gaia is, that we have to explore that in that consciousness. But I've always find that to be an intriguing concept. Nature made law. In other words, nature may just kick our ass if we're not respectful and not looking into curiosity of how we can make this planet a better place. It's a lot more than environmentalism. It all begins with you in your heart and feminine consciousness, and a balance with masculine consciousness, which brings us to our guest today. And I'm going to bring her in, Stacie Nicole Haynes. Hey, Stacie.
Hi, Bart. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Yes.
And I think it's a really wonderful topic that we have today. As Stacie is a certified spiritual guide and teacher of the the teachings of King Solomon
Mm-hmm.
at the Modern Mystery School,
Mm-hmm.
which is a worldwide organization.
Yes.
And there's a lot about masculine and feminine and coming to balance, coming to unity, which I liked your title better than my title.
I
I
know.
just think of which would be uh, the unity of masculine and feminine, because that's what it requires. But first, we got to get it in balance.
Yeah, totally. I feel like I really love the idea of bringing the masculine and feminine energies into more harmony with each other as opposed to balance. Because sometimes, you're going to have more masculine energy than you are when you have feminine energy, and vice versa, depending on the task that you have at hand. So, for example, if you are going out into the world and you are bringing energy out into the world, that's going to be a more masculine type of energy, as opposed to the feminine being, more of that receptacle of the masculine energy, and taking that in within herself and transmuting it and creating something different out of that energy. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited to be here. Thank you, Bart, for opening up the possibility for this conversation. I always love speaking with you, and it's an honor to be here today and speak about this.
I think opening the possibility of conversation is such a feminine aspect. And just to get more masculine here, I want to say hi to Carrie and Julie with there. And thank y'all for being on. The masculine is that expression of, I guess, manners and doing things right, but doing it in a really conscious way that remembers maybe a bigger whole, taking it into action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to
But
action. That's the key.
yeah. And then the feminine is all of those possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and without being in a judgment about that.
Mm-hmm.
With that, so when you work with clients,
Oh.
what do you seeing with some of the people that you work with, because you do healing work,
Mhm.
kind of shamanic work. Would I be saying that right?
I am an initiated Celtic shaman, sure, yes. A lot of the work that I do is around helping an individual to know who they truly are and awakening their God self and their divinity from within. So,
Mm,
I think that many people don't really know who they are. And if you were to ask someone, who are you? They would say, oh, well, I'm a mother, or I'm a daughter, or I'm a friend, or I work for this business, and that is not who you truly are. That's not who your essence is. You are God in the physical, and you are meant to bring the light of heaven into the physical manifestation of this
mm.
world. And
So,
so that's what I, in a nutshell, that's what I do.
so I'll ask you a hard question right to begin with. What is that God presence for you? How do you see yourself in that?
Mm-hmm. You
Let's not
know,
do anything easy.
no, I don't want that, Bart. I don't want easy. Let's go all the way deep. Let's go to the
All right.
depths. Yeah. So what does that look like for me, or what does that feel like? You know, when I experience God out in nature, you brought up nature earlier before, it's this feeling of awe, this feeling of wonder, this feeling of limitless possibility that anything could happen and goes. And there's this infinite beauty around me. So that's one of the aspects I would say. Another aspect for me personally is integrity. So ensuring that I am in integrity throughout every moment of my day. And this has been a new practice for me, which has been teaching me so much about myself. And I think probably the biggest piece would be love. So,
Mhm.
especially as a woman, bringing that divine love of God, the agape love of God, down into my physical body, and then allowing that to manifest around me and into my relationships, into my work, into my home, into my office, because love is the answer, truly. And it sounds kind of cliche, but I think that that's a lot of what's wrong in the world today, is that people are not experiencing that love and light of God.
Indeed, and that would give us to that place of like, how connected are you to your heart and your entire embodiment?
Hmm.
And can you live in that place
Hmm.
with everybody around? It's
Yeah.
it's sometimes difficult. I had to say that yes, I am living with somebody I'm very close friends with.
Hmm.
Uh, and she's staying at my home for a few months, and we're so close, though it's just a friendship,
Hmm.
and those are the hardest people to keep that open because you've had a long experiences, ups and downs, and uh, cautiousness, defensiveness,
Mm.
and boy,
Hmm.
uh, the masculine wants to put up a wall and go, nope, you're not going to
Sure.
that place. Nope, you're doing a behavior I don't like.
Yep.
And wham, we are out of our heart.
Right. Hmm.
It's always so amazing.
So the invitation then, and those moments of restriction and closure, is to open and to really drop into that heart space and sit with, okay, I'm uncomfortable with something that just happened. Let's get a little bit curious about that. What is that awakening within me? Because that's shining a light on a place of growth within you.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Reminds me of a book. You're great. I love you. Now change.
Oh, if it were only that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about that listening. So when you work with people, what
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you kind of see that are obstacles for people that come into this?
Sure. I would say the number one issue that I see is that both men and women don't understand masculine and feminine energies. And so for the women, the world that we live in today, hustle culture is really prevalent and popular, and almost, it's like sought after as a woman of like, oh, I'm a boss bitch or I'm a boss babe, and I can go out there and I don't need a man. And it's like, okay, sure, you could do all of the things that a man could do, but like, why would you want to? Like, I don't want to change the oil on my car. I don't want to construct the highways or build my own house. Like, and I could do that, but why would I want to do that? Because my energy is going to be used so much better in a different place, and vice versa for men, right? So a lot of what I see and help my clients with is helping them to understand that as a woman, you are taking on a more masculine role. And that way, when you do that, that pushes up against your male partner's masculine energy, and it forces him into his feminine energy. And so then she's like, well, I'm not getting what I want. And she wants to blame him. But the thing is that as women, we are the conduits for the spiritual energy, and we can evoke whatever it is that we want in our masculine partners. And this goes for, men and women. If you identify male, female, or it doesn't really matter any preference in that way. But if you are primarily feminine identifying, then you're probably going to have a primarily identifying masculine partner. So you can, as that feminine, you can evoke whatever you desire from your masculine partner, but you have to figure it out and not be manipulative about it. And I think that is another place where women, they use their energy in a manipulative way, as opposed to from a higher place and perspective to gain and help, not even gain, but co-create the things that they both desire in their lives.
Mm-hmm. That's a great answer. It really kind of brings up for me is asking those questions carefully to ourselves. Is this role change of like being feminine or having an origin of feminine, and you want to go over and do a masculine behavior, you have to say, well, what is the purpose of that?
Sure.
And with that, and even if you're a very feminine man and you grew up that way, which is my story, finding the masculine things that some men do, but it might not be right for you. It may be something that you're uncomfortable with. And maybe you have to try on those shoes for a while to see if that's true. But it's always finding that and questioning it in my book, that we do have that exploration. And so thinking of women and men, what do you see that when we explore the feminine, what do you see that's kind of some of the challenges you see with people?
The women do not know how to receive. They do not know how to receive gracefully, openly. They do not know how to receive help. They do not know how to ask for help. The women have a hard time dropping really into their physical bodies. There's a disassociation that happens, and whether it be from trauma or what have you, but there definitely is a physical disassociation.
So is that something along the lines of receiving our physical body as whatever that is?
Sure. Receiving, it could be really anything, honestly. They can do it all themselves. So why would they ever want to have anyone else help them? Because they then perceive themselves as weak at that point in time. And no woman Hi, Carrie. No woman wants to ever be perceived as weak, but it's through her quiet strength that the true strength of a woman is truly defined, I find.
Mm. That
Hmm.
sounds like a lot of quiet in there, like
Yeah.
having some silence to where you begin to really feel what that is too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that sounds like if you're not receiving, you're maybe you're a bit defensive in your masculine as well,
Sure. Yep.
with that. And
Hmm.
you're pushing. It's like you're maybe having some fears or some anger there, and you're going, I'm going to accomplish this, what I didn't receive as a child.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
like, I never got my dad's approval, even though I made straight A's.
Right.
He just gave me little acknowledgement, and I'm going to keep, that's my
Pushing.
behavior, that's my pattern. I'm going
Yeah.
to go do it.
Right. And even sometimes I notice there's women that have an awareness, right? Of like, I have this pattern, this thing happened. I don't want this to happen again. So then they guard their hearts and they shut down. And so then they
Mm,
still, of course, as a woman, they desire to have a partner in the world. And then they're presented with a potential mate. And then they project all of the past trauma onto that man, and they just essentially manifest whatever that negative situation of the past is without going into the situation of like, who is this man, and what does he potentially have to offer and teach me, not from a place of entitlement, because I see that a lot with single
mm,
women is they're incredibly entitled. They want a good man, but they only see bad men out there in front of them. And that's just how it is. It like attracts like. So if you're looking for a bad man, that's all you're going to see. And until you can take that deeper dive within yourself to start get curious and explore like what is actually behind this anger and this pain and this hurt of the past, because if you don't do that, you can do that through therapy, you can do that through of course, energy work and healing and coaching. But if you're not going to those depths within yourself, you will continuously manifest the exact same situation.
boy, that just hits the nail on the head. It reminds me of a wonderful author named Alice Miller, who wrote
Mhm.
this very transcendental book called Drama of the Gifted Child.
Mm,
And she writes exactly on that theme of we we are going for a boyfriend girlfriend that is similar to a parent that we've not resolved the issues with,
yeah.
and we have to start waking up to, well, what that is. And as she describes it, well, I'll use my own words. When you find somebody that's like your mother and your father,
Mm,
and you're getting this romantic love from them, it feels so good because you're getting love from what you missed
sure.
from that specific characteristic that that parent has. And it can be your own form of heroin, so to speak, because it
Yeah.
feels that good.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I've done that.
Very familiar.
And
Very familiar with that
it's a very hard punch in the nose
stuff.
to realize that that's what you're doing.
It's very tough because we go after what feels familiar. And so that sort of
And unresolved.
exactly, exactly. So if you have that sort of like anxious attachment to your parents, then you're going to seek a detached partner because that's the perfect combination. So whatever it is that you need to heal within yourself will be reflected in every single partner until you wake up to the responsibility that you have to yourself and to your mission and your purpose and God source, whatever it is. It will just constantly be reflected until you wake up.
Yes. And so the story aspect is really important, to
Mm-hmm.
just kind of know what your story is, and comparing a relationship now with maybe a past relationship with a parent, and seeing all the parallels is a great checklist to do.
Yeah.
But then taking it to a point of energy work
Hmm.
and having that approach as a part of that process.
Yeah.
Uh, any recommendations?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think that any sort of work that you do on yourself without an energetic and spiritual component, you're going to hit a ceiling every time. Every time. I work with a number of psychotherapists in my office who offer psychotherapy in conjunction with their energy work that they do. And it's a spiritual, and I guess you could say all energy is spiritual, right? Um, uh, and so they both found that within their psychotherapy practice, they could help people to an extent, but they would just constantly hit that ceiling. So it wasn't until they integrated the spiritual with the mental, emotional, physical that it was a complete circuit. And I feel very strongly and super convicted. And if you're not working on something physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you're doing yourself and your work a disservice. And so you have to integrate all four of those key areas. So how would you do it spiritually?
Yeah.
Every single client that I work with, the two places that I start, life activation and a full energy clearing, because the energy clearing is going to essentially remove any energetic cords, emotional cords that you might have to any other individual. It also purifies your aura, and you get to do a sweet prayer, asking for something that you'd like in your life. And then the life activation, it plugs you into your divine blueprint, which is who you truly are, and the work that you are meant to do and bring to this planet. So some people that I work with, they're already on that trajectory. And then I have other people that they've never even heard of an aura. So I have such a rainbow of an array of clients of where they're at in their spiritual journey. But every single person, the life activation turns on that blueprint, and it helps them to awaken to the things that are serving them in their lives and the things that are not serving them in their lives. And so from that newfound awareness, they can start to activate their will and take action in their life to make and cultivate new change and bring their greatness forward into the world. And then the second thing that I recommend is a class that I teach. I'm teaching this weekend, actually. It's called Empower Thyself. And Empower Thyself is a 2-day class that provides the foundational teachings of the Modern Mystery School, the lineage of King Solomon. Every single thing that is taught within the lineage all ties back into Empower Thyself. So those first 2 days are really, really foundational into helping you to understand who you are in conjunction with, God above and all of your relationships and the angels, the archangels, the masters of light. It's a really, really profound 2 days, and it is topped off. The cherry on top of the 2 days is an initiation into the lineage of King Solomon and the Modern Mystery School. It looks like a knighting ceremony. It's a really beautiful ancient ritual, and it is my highest honor to teach Empower Thyself and initiate people into this lineage, because it is the most accelerated path that I've found. It's not the only path, of course. There's many different paths to knowing ourselves and to living our purpose, but this is what I've found, and many of my clients have found that really works for them. And it helps you to just have that greater understanding and awareness of yourself that really amplifies everything else in your life.
So we both have done a lot of work where we have initiated different energies into our lives. And there's a lot of ways you can do it. Anything from while I'm in France, I'm doing fairy initiations where I commune with a fairy, get it to come into my hand, and then put it on somebody's body, and the fairy energy comes into them, and they're just kind of shook up, for lack of better words. There's a lot of ways we can initiate. I wanted to ask you, what's that like with the King Solomon initiation? What What does that feel like? And what are some of the experiences that you have had and
Mhm.
people had as a result of it?
Um, yeah, great question. So the actual initiation, it, like I said, looks like a knighting ceremony. There's blankets and candles, and it's really beautiful. You know, so as a recipient of the initiation, it feels to me like this very warm, angelic, and celestial and divine light is coming into my physical body. And it's
Mm.
anchoring that light within to my physical body. And that's really the power of the initiation, is the anchoring of that light, that divine light of God into the physical.
So when you say anchor, what does that mean?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, so the sword, it we
Uh-huh.
touch the shoulders and the top of the head, and I pull the light down through into the crown chakra. So anchoring, I would say, it's not like an anchor for a ship, right?
No, no.
But the energy drops into the physical body.
Yes. Thanks for explaining that. So they have a new vocabulary of energetic being inside of them that they can resource and rely on. Am I
Sure.
getting that right?
Yeah, they, from the class they receive that, but there's, the power of the initiation, it gives the student 10 times more ability and capacity to affect change in their life. And this isn't something that happens the moment the sword drops. There's definitely an integration period, and then there's also, you receive different rituals, 7 different rituals that from the weekend, to start integrating in your everyday life, so that you can kind of supercharge your day and add that to your daily regimen of practices. um, and everything is really, it's magic, honestly. That's the only way I can and truly describe the initiation, is it's magic. And it really, what I've seen is it helps people to understand things from a completely different place. Because without the initiation, if I were just to teach someone, the 2 days without the initiation, it definitely wouldn't have the same effect on the students.
Mm.
And this is our lineage; it's a path of initiation. So that's just the first initiation I've had. Gosh, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9 different initiations within the lineage, something
Mm.
along those lines. I think, I don't know. It's hard to say. I've been doing this for almost 8 years. So, but the initiation is what really changes things for people. And it's hard to explain. It's really hard to, you're going to have to try it, Bart. You just need to
So,
come to class this weekend.
well, thank you. And and um, well, I have more questions, and we
Great.
want to bring this into the masculine, feminine. But first, I want to tell everybody that you are listening to Becoming Quantum Conscious, and my name is Bart Sharp. Our guest today is Stacie Nicole Haynes, Haynes, and that would be Stacie. Her website is www.stacienicolehaynes.com, and that's Stacienicolehaynes. And she teaches from her expertise of the Modern Mystery School. And right now, you are on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 and 105.3 out of New Orleans. Also on Roku, X, YouTube, Facebook, and other internet platforms, including the UPRN website. A great place to listen to all the shows. And so, bringing this back to Stacie Nicole Haynes, and in the 9 levels of initiation, or that's how many you've done. Um, how do you think that activates that core feminine part of yourself?
Mm.
Because I really see shamanically that our core essence of our identity of who we are as a child, really starts in the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
The child and the feminine have all of these parallels.
Mm-hmm.
We are in that feminine as a child more than we are in the masculine. It's a safe, vulnerable place. Our parasympathetic nervous system is active and alive. We're loving, we're curious. We have this sense of nurturing about us, all in the childhood. And I really see that that's a lot in the feminine as well when we get back to those core gifts of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big believer that activating energies really helps us get right into who that is, along with knowing our story and practicing and not allowing your defensiveness to take control of you when you are getting upset with people.
Sure.
All of those things. So just thinking of that feminine, when you go into these deeper initiations, and you
Mm-hmm.
used this term earlier, cosmic blueprint, which I kind of go, well, that has to be something to do with our feminine being. Um, have I stimulated a question in there someplace?
um, well, let's see. I don't know if the cosmic blueprint is feminine or not. I would imagine it's both. And then in regards to children, um, I think they have both. I think they have both. I think we're born with both at birth, and I think that you know there's different times where we are presenting with more masculine or feminine energy. One of my best friends, her little boy, he is like all boy, and he's 3 years old, and he just wants to do all the time. And then her daughter, she is just the sweetest little girl, and she just wants to, but she's also wants to go out and play, and she's fearless. And I think that there's like so many different ideas out there of like what it means to be feminine or masculine. And I think if we were to break things down to the most basic level, we can think of penetrative sex, and the penis entering the vagina. The vagina is the feminine, obviously, and then the penis is the masculine. So the feminine receptacle receives the masculine force, and then from there they co-create something from that. So I think that is a good way to kind of like break it down for people that are maybe like a little bit confused about that, because there's so many different aspects of masculine and feminine energy. And Kabbalistically, from the tree of life, there's a severity, right? And then there is mercy. And severity, you would think would be masculine, but it's actually feminine energy. And
Mm,
then the mercy, you would think that would be feminine, but that's actually the masculine energy. So I think there's a lot of confusion within the
yeah.
collective, and a lack of clarity on like what is what. And the lineage and the path of initiation in particular has really clarified and purified those parts of my consciousness and my mind that were confused, and then from that place have allowed me to open up and step more into my feminine energy.
Wonderful. And so, what does that feminine energy feel like to you? For
Hmm.
where,
Yeah.
what is that taking you? Because I have my perceptions. I've known you for 7 years, 8 years, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Mhm. You've known me
Yeah,
pretty much from the beginning of my journey within the mystery school. Do you
yeah,
think do
yeah.
you think I've changed at all, Bart?
I see a softness in a
Mm,
security in your softness
mm,
that I didn't see there. And the softness is just a gentleness, a
mhm,
nurturing,
mhm,
a kindness,
mhm,
um receptiveness
mhm,
from what you have around you. There's less. like I've got to show myself or prove
Yeah.
myself.
Thank you. I've worked hard to not be like that. Yeah, because it comes from this false identity of needing to prove myself, of I am worthy, look at me, like, and now, and I definitely appreciate the reflection of softness, because that's definitely a more feminine quality of softening and opening and just continuing to open and share that love of God with anyone and everyone.
Mm. So God is a source with this.
Mm-hmm.
And it really brings me back to the question, because there's a lot of questions about Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Solomon saw God as?
Oh gosh. Whew. I'd have to astral travel and ask him. We could do that, you know. I'll ask him tonight and I'll let you know.
Okay.
You know, I don't know what Solomon would say, but I would imagine that Solomon say that God is the source of all things and no things, and you know, God is omnipresent and available to us at all times. However, most people are looking down as opposed to looking up. Not most people, some people, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're, you know, especially in modern religion and even in some new age teachings, there's a ceiling that, and you can't fully access God. You have to go through, especially in religion, right? You have to go
Yeah.
through a priest or whomever.
Yeah.
And our lineage teaches that that is a direct link. You are directly linked to God, the angels, the archangels, masters of light. Whoever you need to call, you can essentially, you know, just think to them and they will be there for you.
I think that's a wonderful way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon was looking up and beyond,
Mm-hmm.
almost like in the stars in the heavens, but also into astral realities where angels really lived,
Mm-hmm.
and was bringing all of that down.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our people on this radio show that are UFO Paranormal Network would say, yes, some of those angels up there were really ETs. We don't have to have a conversation on that, but you know, there's a lot of entertaining questions that Solomon and what we try to learn from Solomon hold out there about what is that, what are the possibilities out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are basically accessing the energy of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is
accessing it, calling it down, and, you know, doing our work to ensure that humanity is on the best trajectory so that we don't all end in a bad way, I suppose.
well, I think it's all about expanding.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, life is a spiral, constantly moving, and you can't prevent the spiral from going in the opposite direction. If you do, you have to use tons of energy to take it and stay in one place at one time or go backwards. Instead, you have to stay in that question of where can I grow next?
Yeah.
And as you guys are exploring the modern mystery school, my guess is that you're maybe inventing and learning new tools that people did not know 10 years ago or such.
Most of our stuff is like 3,000 to 8,000 years old. So it's pretty, it's ancient. It's an ancient lineage.
Definitely. But the exploration is still being explored.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we have somebody, and we'll just say this is a really pertinent thing. Looking at a Catestu hurricane, y'all pray for us. And we just ask that everybody, this would be in Louisiana, my guess is, because that's where the hurricane is hitting. And we just send well wishes to you, Robo, and all of those down there with that. So brings up another question. As you learned a modern mystery school, um, you've created a bigger space of consciousness in yourself.
Yes.
And that empowers whatever you do, including prayers. And how does that affect you in this day and age? How does that make your life probably a lot more fun?
Yeah, it can make it fun, or a little bit. I feel like it's a lot of awareness. This has to do. The lineage expands your awareness so that you have a better understanding, and from that space you gain more wisdom, take things into action, and the cycle kind of repeats. So it can also, like, it is fun. I love the work that I do. I love my life, and I love everything that the lineage has helped me to create. But it's only because I have put those things into action. And sometimes, it can be confronting to look at these deeper aspects of the self. And I mean, I think we were speaking about this earlier before we came on, is that you got to sometimes go into those deep depths, and it's not always pretty. So this being an accelerated path, while those times of examining the depths of the self can be confronting or triggering, or whatever language you want to use to describe those uncomfortable moments, the lineage helps you to move through things much, much faster so that you can, continue working. Because, I mean, I had a good friend recently tell me, the work is not done until you are physically dead. So just, you got to keep unpeeling those layers of the onion, the entirety of your life. And some will peel back a couple of layers, and then they'll shy away, and then maybe come back or not, what have you. But I'm just keep going, keep going.
Well, I prefer another word, another 4-letter word than work is play.
Play,
To
yeah.
play it's like a fascinating curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
and actually work and play kind of get all mixed up, and
Sure.
you become undefined.
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking about this space, and we're thinking about prayers as when we were thinking of Robo and everybody in Louisiana. For me, I would just say that I just open up this space of consciousness and this heart that I know is connected with source and all the practices that I've done over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just there. And all of a sudden you take it and you just boom, send it out to all of those people in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that quick
Mm-hmm.
and easy. It's non-committal,
Yeah.
but yet it's very caring.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be that way. And it's like, yeah, I'm linked to those guys now.
Mm-hmm.
My consciousness is right over there
Yep.
with
Holding
them.
them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a
Mm-hmm.
little bitty way. But
Mm-hmm.
that's really awesome to do it such
Beautiful.
a short way.
Yep.
And I would think that that's a lot what you're learning in the Solomon teachings, is
Mm-hmm.
that your consciousness can be in a lot of ways there. And as you say, it's like, to me, it's more like that essence of feminine that can hold that energy, and yet the masculine
Sends it out.
sends it out
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
guides it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about all of these qualities of the nurturing and the softness,
Mm-hmm.
but another quality that you hold is very strong.
Thank you.
That you had the strength and perseverance, the courage and the attitude that I'm just going to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kind of the swirl, the combination of the masculine and feminine integrated. And I think that's the play, right? Not the work. The play for all of us is to figure out the best way for the individual to come into harmony with both of those energies, because we need both of them.
We do. We do. And one of the things that I find problematic for me is not to judge. Like I'm always trying to figure out what my masculine is on a lot of places.
Okay.
And that's a long story. But when I see men in the world that I think are not balanced in that, I want to quickly go into judgment with them. Like, oh, they're just way off, or I just hate that guy, or that's not exactly what I would think, but it's just this kind of disgust for them that are so out of balance with that masculine. And masculine in this world isn't out of balance a lot. It's very aggressive. It's trying to get things done without much self-nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
You have any idea about how you see that?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's become very polarized, and when things are so polarized, it creates great extremes in both directions. And so, until we come, because your masculine and feminine energy is polarized, right? One is on one side, one is on the other, and then like as you get closer, you still have them both, but it's more harmonious within that center and the merge and the swirl. But whenever they're so far polarized from one another, unfortunately, there is, some people can be out of balance with the, maybe aggression can be seen as one of those negative qualities. But I think that men also have really been beaten down over the past 50 years by women in particular, and the rise of the feminist movement, which was meant to be something to empower women, but it really just tore down men. And personally, I feel that tearing down to build up another, regardless of men or women or whatever the movement might be, that's never going to solve any problem. So until we can recognize each other's differences and also recognize if someone's being aggressive, there's probably a reason. And maybe there's a reason in the moment, but there's probably some inner child work that needs to be looked at. And so if we can approach these situations of disgust or discomfort or, whatever the emotion that's evoked within us, if we can approach it with compassion of, oh, wow, there's something really deep going on here. And how can I serve this person to help them to move out of that space? And because likely they never had anyone help them regulate their nervous system. And so that so many people are dysregulated. And I mean, it still happens to me sometimes, but luckily I have tools that I can use to help me come back into balance and then start to look at these different aspects of myself or my relationships that are mirroring something that I need to look at within myself. And then from there, I can also help others.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I always ask that question, well, wonder what pain they're in.
Yeah.
And just look at that with that.
You don't know.
You don't know that what that holds. And another thing is, like, I just think that nobody wants to be judged for their aggressiveness or their anger,
Sure.
but they want to be understood.
Absolutely.
And so it's pretty strong there with that. It comes with this prayer that came up in France. This when I was sitting in church, it just was a download. You are of this earth. You are human. You are of love. You are of your mother. And when I, would go through this prayer, it's just like, this prayer is all about connecting you to something much bigger than you. And always remember that you are of those four things. And to me, it really connects me with my second chakra. with that.
Mhm.
So we have about 5 minutes with the show. And I want you to think about a question, two questions. What what do you love about this work?
Mm.
And is there a bit of wisdom that you would like to impart with everybody to end the show with? And you can have about 3 or 4 minutes to really contemplate that or to express that. And while you're thinking about that and contemplating it, I'm going to tell everybody that you are listening to Stacie Nicole Haynes. You can find her at www.stacienicolehaynes.com. She does private sessions. She teaches classes. She is a certified uh, guide and teacher under the wisdom of King Solomon in the Modern Mystery School. It's a worldwide organization with King Solomon teachings and techniques and all of this really awesome stuff with that. Um, but also, my name is Bart Sharp, and you're on Becoming Quantum Conscious at United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which can be found at the UPRN website, Roku, Facebook, X, YouTube, and other internet platforms. And next week, we will have Hakeem Iwan on the show, and he is an expert in Egyptian chematology, which is the study of the most ancient teachings of Egypt. We had him on about 6 months ago. Totally fascinating guy, and it's really exciting to have him back on the show. It's always enlightening for me to see what he has to offer. So, Stacie, what
What do
parting words of wisdom do you have?
what do I love about this work? I think just the clarity that it brings to the individual and the embodiment that clarity brings to the individual. Because once you have a greater understanding of masculine and feminine energies and what they are to do separately and then together in union, you will have a greater relationship with yourself and those around you. And as far as practices to integrate and gain an understanding, for the women, I would say, or the feminine, I would say, practice opening your heart, practice opening your body, practice opening your mind. You can do this alone or with a partner. I would suggest alone initially, and maybe for a while until you can really open and feel everything around you and feel God's love running through you, and then become that conduit of God's love. And it's going to feel uncomfortable, ladies. It's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to think, this is so weird. What is this lady talking about? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but just keep practicing. It's a practice. And then for the gentlemen, the men, the masculine, I would suggest becoming more familiar with your consciousness and how your consciousness has the ability to penetrate the world. How you can tap into your heart and then use that energy to penetrate the world with goodness and beauty and love. Because that is essentially what the masculine is doing with the feminine. She's the conduit of God's love. He is, it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual, but he is penetrating her and her life, and together they're co-creating something different. And this is something that you can do within yourself as well. So even, I say masculine and feminine, men and women, but both one individual can practice both of these things, becoming more aware of your consciousness and how that can come and penetrate the world with goodness. And for the feminine, continuing to open to allow that masculine conscious penetration to happen.
Beautiful. So well said.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Stacie. That's Stacie Nicole Haynes of StacieNicoleHaynes.com. And we hope to see everybody next week at Becoming Quantum Conscious. Until then, we give y'all an au revoir.
Thank
Bye for now.
you.